Hey everybody, welcome to Connecting Cannabis, brought to you by Wrazel. I'm your host, Brian Haller. Today's guest is Courtney Freeman. She'll be talking with us about her consulting firm, her brand, her label, how she's helping other companies, and building community. First, however, I want to talk to you about Ojai Energetics. Ojai has the most advanced water-soluble CBD on the market. It's fast-acting. Most viable products are made without synthetics. Most users feel the benefits with proper dosage in about 30 seconds, not 30 minutes like a regular CBD-rich oil. Their products are created using organic ingredients and regenerative farming practices, benefiting both people and the planet. Ojai Energetics provides CBD users with a dependable bridge to optimal living, promoting everyday health and living. To see their products, visit ojienergetics.com. And to learn more about their current investment opportunity, please visit their profile on the Wrazel Investment Marketplace at wrazel.com. All right, so thank you very much, Courtney. Welcome to the proceedings today. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm interested in Ojai. That sounds fantastic. I'm going to go check it out.
They're a fantastic company, yes, and please check them out on our list.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure anytime. I've really been looking forward to talking to you. So you're the CEO of White Buffalo Spirit. Let's start there. What is White Buffalo Spirit?
Sure. So White Buffalo Rolling Papers was a brand that was started by my parents back in the 70s, rolling papers for the American spirit. And I took over in 2015. I founded White Buffalo Spirit, which is our e-commerce site. We have CBD skincare, athleisure wear, jewelry, all intended for a wellness lifestyle for the cannabis enthusiast. And we also have a consulting company where we bring clients to their product formulation, branding, product launch, and I produce events as well through my events company, which is White Buffalo Events.
And there you go. And so it produces this whole kind of, ecosystem for you, right? Which is very smart in terms of putting together your own business. Did you always set out to do all three of those things, or did you just kind of evolve into them?
Yeah, it's been a real evolution. Before we came on, we were talking about, kind of what inspired us to come into this industry. And you had mentioned something about kind of how I grew up in the cannabis space, but I didn't really. My parents had started this brand, and for them, it was a really good investment opportunity. And my mother would carry me around on her back and go to all of her trade shows and what have you. But I grew up with the product being a nationwide product my parents had created, not something that was really integrated into my life or the cannabis lifestyle. I didn't learn until much later that my father was somewhat of an advocate for cannabis legalization, and he recalls that he contributed to Timothy Leary's defense fund, for example. Wow. So when I was 15, I went to go see the spoken word tour of Jello Biafra, who was the lead singer of Dead Kennedys. Yep. And during the spoken word tour, he talked about Jack Herer, and he talked about how hemp was a part of our industrial process for World War II, for rope, for parachutes. And he also talked about some of the reasons for prohibition. So I grew up knowing that there was some mystery reason that cannabis was prohibited. And it's only in the last few years that I've really kind of pinpointed what I think those reasons are. So it's extremely important to me that I share this message of healing and wellness that cannabis brings, the connectivity it brings to the people. And it's been challenging. I think that, the message of plant medicine has been around for thousands of years, and it's been thwarted, and it continues to be thwarted today. Yep. But we continue to, beat the shadow ban and get our message out and, build community through our events so that people know that cannabis heals and that cannabis is essential.
And there you go. And I think that was a big thing that, obviously COVID is, brought up a lot of things for a lot of people, especially companies, et cetera. What am I doing here? Look at under the hood. Am I doing the right things, et cetera? But one of the things that it definitely also has done is shown that cannabis is essential. It's a medicine. It's, sure, you can use it for relaxation or for, recreational needs, but that's also, easing your mind in a way. So,
well, this is, I can say, like, you're just making me think that I'm so I'm really diversified within the cannabis space. I mean, I do have some clients that are not in the cannabis space, thank goodness, during these times. But I'm pretty well diverse within the cannabis space, and COVID hit me on so many levels. One of them is with our wellness lifestyle brand, we have swimsuits, and we have a beautiful proprietary design of cannabis. It's a cannabis botanical illustration with new colors, and so this was geared up, months ago in anticipation of resort season, which is something that you think about in the fashion world, and also spring break. Right, spring break was coming. But then spring break was canceled, and so we have a new campaign. It's these swimsuits are so hot they're safer at home. so hey, I'm just having fun
using what you're working
now.
with. Exactly right.
I'm really having fun with this now, and the cannabis is essential. I just feel like I need to make T-shirts. When we had our event on 420 for the House of Jane, right. I got a microphone and I wrapped it like a news broadcaster. Cannabis is essential. Nice.
See,
just the beginning.
It's all about those little touches, It's all about those little tweaks, those kind of subliminal, under the radar type stuff.
Yeah, just or in your face.
Yes. Actually, that reminds me. Can you talk a little bit about the House of Jane event? As somebody who events is a huge part a huge part of your overall business. Talk a little bit about how you guys adjusted and then how successful that event was.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. And I think this is something potentially, people watching might be able to garner some guidance from. We started our event. Well, we were all at MJ BizCon in December, if you recall.
I do
recall. we secured a mansion. We partnered, Way Buffalo Events partnered with Tokativity, which has chapters around the world for women who are interested in cannabis culture. Mm-hmm. And then Women Empowered in Cannabis, which started as a closed Facebook group and is now 10,000 plus members, and we had over 250 women that attended. It was pretty epic, and we had a lot of great feedback. People said that we had one of the best parties at MJ BizCon, cool. And it's remarkable because there's really strong budgets during MJ BizCon, and there's a ton of parties. So people came to our mansion, they loved it, and that speaks volumes. So we said, okay, we have to continue this, and April 1st, there was going to be a Hall of Flowers in Palm Springs. Yep. And because, MJ BizCon is more of a corporate environment, we wanted to do another kind of satellite event with a major show that really supports more of the cultivation and different aspects of the industry. And so Hall of Flowers was a great opportunity to not only do that, but also to connect with people in Palm Springs, which is a huge marketplace for manufacturing and indoor cultivation, right, etc. So, we were all set to do that, and then the lockdown hit, and so even though Hall of Flowers assured everyone that they weren't going to cancel, they did ultimately have to do so, and they invested something like $700,000 in smoke and radiation facility. This is my understanding. I don't have it firsthand. But they took a big loss, and they can't. It's not like they can have the event in the summer because it's too hot in Palm Springs. Yep. But in any case, when that was happening, I thought to myself, "Oh goodness, what's going to happen to our annual celebration, our annual appreciation?"
That's right.
So we started talking about 420. Tokativity has a proprietary classroom online video platform.
That's right.
And so we were very quickly able to just get on there, set it all up. We did some test runs. We had our April 1st event, which was great. We had over 200 registrations. Nice. And then for 420, we expanded. We had even more people attend, and we brought in a couple speakers. Chia Rodriguez, who is she's the pioneer for our next Oracle of the Green Rose card. Yes.
Oh, and actually, let's pause real quick. Let's talk about the Oracle of the Green Rose card, because people want to know. People are going to see that art and be like, "What is that?"
Sure. So this is a literary project. I'm a writer, and I just see that with legalization that we're gonna have access to cannabis, on both an adult use level and on a medicinal level, around the world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't feel like people are going to understand how it got here, who, on the backs this was built.
Yep.
And so I said, well, how can we really honor the pioneers, the people that sacrificed everything, their families, their reputations? I mean, we're still even now dealing with some of these issues, but the people who have been doing this for 25, 30, 40, etc. years.
Oh, yes.
And, talk about what they've done, their contributions. And so right now we're 6 cards in. We did Jack Hare's card, and their estate is still evaluating because we need approval to use his likeness.
Of course.
And of course we want to work with them and see how we can support the estate. But, so now we have 20 pioneers, and then we have 12 heirloom landrace strains from around the world. Mm-hmm. Durban Poison is the first of those. We have a card for that, and we just launched a new athleisure outfit with the Durban Poison art, which is really cool.
That is cool.
But Chia is a second-generation cultivator, mm-hmm. and she brought her tribe of cultivators together and created a collective called Mendocino Generations in Mendocino. Yep. And then because she co-founded with her husband, and they also have a company called Arcana Flowers. Right. And so she's been really instrumental. I'm calling this the Rainbow Bridge card, which means connecting two worlds or connecting dimensions. And the idea is that she has been the rainbow bridge between not only illegality, because she grew up frightened at helicopters coming over in case, they might be outed because her father had a couple of trees that they earned some a modest earnings from to support the family.
Right.
And now to being a voice and advocate for the cannabis industry and supporting the cultivators in this transition to legalization with the regulations of 2018, which were a nightmare. Yep. And then working with regulators to kind of ease that transition. So she's been really instrumental in not only building community, but also fostering growth for the industry, for these essential cultivators. And I think that it's pretty profound. So with this card, she's the Rainbow Bridge. This represents the temperance card of the major arcana of the tarot. And we've got, this is still in progress, by the way.
Yeah,
this is just a preview. This is a preview thing.
Yeah, this is exclusive right here.
Amber June Cross is our artist, and she's a fabulous designer, and she's still working on the tweaking. But this is the California condor, which is the state bird. It has a lot of significance in terms of spirituality, but also the condor was almost extinct, and through some efforts, it still exists today. It's the largest bird in the world, 6-foot wingspan, and has been around since prehistoric times.
Yes.
So we included that. We got the pyramids of Giza in here, and she has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot out, which represents spanning that divide, the rainbow bridge between worlds. And in many ways, I think she's the rainbow bridge. So we're really excited about that and honoring her work and continuing to highlight the people behind the essential cannabis.
Well, I really love the project. That's why I kind of let's talk about this really quick, because
it's fun,
obviously events, you had to take it to, a pause, reevaluate. Fortunately, you were in a position to kind of steer into a digital presence. That was great. It also brings up sort of these other projects that you're doing in a way, because it's allowed you to kind of push these other initiatives that, maybe would have taken a little longer, if your focus might have been elsewhere. So I also think the other subtext is the history of cannabis and from, legalization, just not even just legalization, just the history of the plant, how it's, come, who's been, big, strong proponents and advocates of it. It's going to be very, very important as we move forward to remember who those people are and to to talk about them accurately and in creative ways.
And even if we don't remember the people exactly, it's really about the inspiration that comes from the story of triumph. So in the book that accompanies the deck, we tell the stories. We also have messages for each card. So the premise is that it's an oracle card deck. You shuffle the cards, and then you pull a card out and you read the message. So the idea is that it works synergistically, and in that the message that you receive is what is intended for you at this moment. Yes. And so you also get a little bit of education, like with the Durban poison card, for example, you learn about the terpenes, you learn that it's a high energy sativa. So I'm sneakily educating.
Yep. Well, I love that you're using, also, it's creative. It's good. It's a good marketing strategy, to be honest with you. It's just a lot of smart thinking. It kind of goes to this overarching theme of my show all of a sudden, which is during this time, it's really, really important for everybody to look under the hood, see what they have, and to take steps forward in a positive way, maybe doing the things that you were maybe later down the line or you're pushing later. All of a sudden they become more important right now. And how are you going to activate that? How are you going to move forward that way? And, I just think that that's a good example, one example of many that you have that kind of displays that. It shows ingenuity, creativity, respect for the culture, community building, all in one.
Or I like to say scrappy.
Yes. Or you could say scrappy. That works too. That's right.
You gotta be scrappy. One of the things about the cannabis industry is that, just thinking about Wrazel and what you all are doing. One of the things that I think, we really have to highlight, because I support clients in business plan writing, for example. So what's the strategy there? And right now, when we're heading into a new world, a new normal, how are we pivoting? How are we addressing this? So for my own business plan, when I'm going after investors or, approaching them with what is a viable investment, I'm thinking about what's the new reality and how does that play into the strategy? How am I adapting the strategy? And I'm doing that for my clients as well. And I think that with this, you have to identify where are those revenue streams coming from? How is your supply chain affected? We were supposed to, Dee Dussault, author of Ganja Yoga, was going to wear our new athleisure wear, the Durban Poison athleisure wear, on her 420 event, which is also really fantastic.
Would have been great exposure.
I am still waiting for production because production was delayed due to COVID. I manufacture in the United States because I want to support the United States. And unfortunately, during the lockdown, production's been halted. So we had to move to overseas production. And so that's been delayed. So these are the kind of things that we have to kind of talk about and reference how we're adapting. And I think for investors looking at the cannabis industry, one of the unique facets is that you're not going to find an entrepreneur like us. We can overcome anything. We've had so much thrown at us and we've had to be so creative. And to see that, if we're making it here, this is I'm from New York. If you can make it here in cannabis, you can make it anywhere. It's the same sentiment.
Yeah. I mean, our investor network, that kind of echoes that sentiment too. I mean, we share those feelings, of course, at Wrazel. And ultimately, it's really time to, if anything, it's time to strike, because at least that's what I'm hearing from certain levels of investors, because when people are fearful, it's that whole famous Warren Buffett quote that I'm about to butcher, but
okay,
it's the when fear is up, when fear is high, then that's the time to be proactive and strike. When fear is low, that's the time to sit back and evaluate. And that's not the exact quote, but it's a Buffett quote that's pretty much saying that, which is what basically echoes the sentiment you're saying and investors, because cannabis, massively resilient on almost every level that you can imagine, right? Propaganda, legalization up and down, agriculture, hindrances, regulations designed to make it difficult and to screw up the supply chain and all this stuff. And here we are, right? Here you and I are on a cannabis business podcast. So
what would you say, what advice would you have for people who are in this space? And, how do we capitalize on fear in this aspect while still supporting the industry and operating in integrity?
Honestly, there's a lot of answers. The first one that pops to mind, and it's because of our discussion earlier, is look at what your resources are. And then look at how you can be creative in ways to connect this educational and informational piece that if you are a cannabis business owner that does not feel like education and information isn't a big part of what you need to put out there, you are misguided. I don't care if you're the stoneriest, stony brand ever, then show that culture and show that it's not just this, stereotypical burnouts and stuff. You guys are business owners, right? You have passion for this industry. I don't care if you're showing how many dabs you can do in 5 seconds. That's cool, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But also inform people, right? Show them, the different things about it. Show them that you're a business that's viable, right? That you're not just a couple of kids in a basement somewhere, Show off your knowledge, even if it is more consumer based, all good, And so that's if anything, it's do things like that card set that you're creating.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also it's a good segue here. We partner with Althea Solutions. They have an education platform. And
Right.
So we're rolling out a new education course for product development. And the idea is that, just what you said, that we are providing an opportunity for people to learn about what we're doing and to share the understanding of what we've garnered through our experience of working in this industry. So, 2018, when the new regulations came through, having to completely repackage a whole product suite in about 2 months, over the holidays. So now, we've been through it. We can really guide people in the process of what is compliant packaging. And then for me, 15, 20 years of marketing, what does that look like? How does that correspond to cannabis? And the nuances, even within regulations of how we can market, what those restrictions are, because you don't want to jeopardize your license because you weren't complying with regulations for marketing.
That's another
so taking some of that.
Yeah. That's another very smart piece of business.
I think it'll be interesting to see what the response is, because I think that a lot of companies within the cannabis space are really do-it-yourself. They bring people in within their own teams to execute on compliance and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we can give them the tools in-house to do that and actually save them on overhead. I think it brings a lot of value.
I think you're right, and that's another great point that you just made is cultivate it within, right? If you can. But also don't be afraid of third parties that can help. Just make sure you vet them properly. Make sure that they're, people. And one thing I love about the cannabis community is how receptive people are to partnering up, helping each other grow, that sort of thing.
Collaborate.
Take advantage of that by being the person who asks. So many people are afraid to say, well, hey, Courtney, can't we just partner up on this? And, maybe we can split it this way and we can also help this many people at the same time. Let's put it on paper, map it out, make sure it's all good, and let's move forward, right? That's tough to do for some people. So I would say, if anything, the advice we're giving you is look at what you've got to offer. Do not be afraid of reaching out to people and try to make sure that you're utilizing all your resources to the best way possible.
That's good. That's good. The networks, leveraging the networks is, I think, something that we can also talk about in terms of business plans and business plan strategy.
Yes, and so thank you for pointing out that Wrazel does some of that for
great.
people as well. Just like I can point out that Courtney's consulting firm, can help you, especially if you have products to roll out and that you're trying to develop in a that is in alignment with kind of the culture and the community for cannabis. That's, I think if you have a lot of magic dust, but if that's something, that's probably a lot of your magic dust, is to be able to kind of show people how to do that in an easy way possible and to teach them. That's another thing is, a lot of consultants, as you well know, are not consultative. So I shouldn't be telling you what to do. I should be showing you what to do so that you can take that knowledge and grow and then show other people maybe how to do it moving forward.
Yeah, and that is my strategy, because I do look at the whole, and I think that's something, it is actually kind of a catch-22 though, because if I show you how to do it yourself, then you can go do it yourself. But I do also like to show, especially when we've been through this, and less so now, but in the process of regulations, just guiding people through what that looks like, because, I don't need to depend on packaging compliance for my entire living, right? But for companies like Arcana Flowers, who now can go on and, revamp their packaging and continue to do so and save on their costs, it's extremely valuable and helpful to our community.
Absolutely.
And the sustainability of our industry.
Yes, there you go. That's a great way to say it. To sustain the history. That's very nice, and a good night and a good note to start wrapping up on. Before we get done, let's make sure everybody out there knows where to find you. Or actually, I think you wanted to talk about some a special discount you have for viewers of our show.
Yes, for everyone watching, we have a special offer for you. Wrazel 10 is your discount for 10% off our new course that's launching soon on Althea.Solutions platform. And if you want to sign up for that, we're just taking a pre-registration. So you can contact us at cannaproductconsulting.com. And if you go to the bottom of the website, you'll see a link there for the education course. Sign up, let us know, send us the code Wrazel 10 so we know where you came from. And as soon as that course goes live, you're going to get your 10% off, and we'll send you the link to go ahead and sign on.
Excellent, Courtney. That's awesome. And thank you for doing that very much. And we'll also include that link in the descriptions in our Facebook, YouTube, etc. So we'll make sure that everybody has access to that. And again, code's Wrazel 10. And thank you for doing that. So let's make sure everybody else knows where they can find you and out there, and if they need some help with their business growth.
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you, we would love your support with the cannabis industry. We're always striving to improve our products, to support health and wellness and healthy living. WhiteBuffaloSpirit.org is our e-commerce site where you can purchase our CBD products. And we have a new lymphatic health support. It's a natural deodorant that's coming out soon. Look forward to that. The Durban Poison gear is live. The Botanical Bikini is live. And then Canna Product Consulting is where you can find our consulting business. Our consulting business is called Platonic 4. And White Buffalo events, whitebuffalocannabis.com /events is where you'll find our event listings. At this time, I have to tell you that we're on a lockdown. So the events that we had planned for July, October, December, they're kind of temporarily on hold. We're not sure if we can move forward. And there's no event insurance for COVID, unfortunately. Nope. So, but stay tuned for that. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, please follow me on Instagram, or you can find me on YouTube. Again, Canna Product Consulting. And then you go there, you can find my contact information and all of our social media handles. We're just everywhere. That's everywhere right. You want to be.
Yes. Type in White Buffalo and Courtney Freeman, and you're going to be just fine. Exactly. Courtney, and then of course you can find them on Wrazel too. So if you want to look at the business database or the services index on Wrazel, if you're looking for partners, as we were talking earlier, it's a good resource for you to do so. Then of course, if you're looking to raise capital, or if you're an investor looking for an opportunity, you can go to the Wrazel Investment Marketplace. So, Courtney, thank you so much for being here today. I very much look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Brian. It's been great. Thanks to Wrazel.
No problem. Thank you, Courtney. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Be well.
You too.